You can break free from that distraction, that busy season, that thing that you're doing that is taking you away from your routine. You can come back to your routine. And it can be completely overwhelming sometimes when we are deep in the rungs of something that has a deadline. And it can completely take us off the patterns and habits that help us to stay healthy and help us to stay aligned and help us to be connected to our higher self and our soul's path. And sometimes it feels like we have to give up those things in order to have what we want. But I'm here to tell you today that that is a myth. That is a misconception. Oh, Merlin's trying to get in here too. That is not true. That's just some conditioning that we have been patterned with. And so, why does it matter that you make space for yourself first before you even consider going into that rushed, focused, energetic, like that downward head, putting your head down, shutting everything else out part of you to get something done? Why is it so important that you actually make space for yourself? Because if you don't, you will become disconnected. You'll become disconnected from the part of you that feels good, the part of you that experiences joy, the part of you that is happy. You'll start sneezing and coughing like this little kitty or something. Anyway, so it's really important that you make the space to stay connected to yourself. And we're taught the opposite. We're taught the opposite. Oh, be strong, keep going, push through, force yourself. And all that does is leads to burnout, overwhelm, low energy, running on empty, more than empty even, and working while you're sick, basically. How many times in your life have you gone to work or did something when you were sick? Put in the comments, I want to hear how many times you have done something when you did not feel good. And was it your best effort too? Like, was it quality work that you were putting out while you were not feeling great? I've gone through, many of you know, I was a CPA and I ran tax seasons, personal tax seasons every year for many, many years. And it didn't just happen in April. It started basically in January, where you were, this run of excessive work started. And in order for me to do that, I found myself blocking out my family, my friends, my passions, my purpose, my connection to myself. It completely would disconnect me from myself. I found myself like spiritually offside. And when you're in accounting, you don't want anything offside. You want balance. So like, I like to think of, this career in accounting as a mathematical like formula for balance, but it does the opposite to anybody who works in it. And it's not the only career that does that. Doctors are experiencing this, lawyers are experiencing this, entrepreneurs who have the power to take control of their time even do it to themselves. Even today, I'm doing an event, my very first all-day event, live, streaming it to my YouTube channel next Tuesday. And I have been really focused and really head down, putting effort towards it that is necessary. It's aligned action. But I have had to be very conscious of my neck starting to burn, that habit that I would have when I was doing the accounting of like, putting my head down, stressing as I'm straining on the computer. And just before this episode, I didn't get a good night's sleep. And I have another podcast I'm doing later today, and I was in something this morning, and I had time. I had time to do a little reset, a recharge, a reconnection with myself for 20 minutes so that I could, fill back up with life force, be energized, be available and present to be here right now with all of you. How many of you noticing even more and more during the days, during this time, like right in this present moment, like in this month, where you've had to take more time to rest and recharge so that you could accomplish the results you actually desired? How many of you have taken the time to rest and recover, and how many have like pushed it aside and felt worn out? I'd like to know if you've done both, or if you are listening to yourself. Because there's costs to sacrificing for deadlines. There's costs to your body, there's cost to your mental health, there's cost to your emotional well-being, and to your balance, to your alignment, to your frequency. And so as we're navigating in this changing world, which is like throwing every curveball at us that is possible, if we keep focused on all of those curveballs that are going on outside in the outer environment, and we don't take this time to like really come inside ourselves and look for what is important for us, we can get thrown off ourselves so quickly, so quickly. And it's important to notice that, to stay aware that you are the most important person, and that your relationship with your connection with yourself is the most important connection. Because when you have that connected, it's kind of like two plugs with electricity running into them. When you're connected to your full power, and someone at a summit yesterday, her name was Maureen, she called it whole power. I like to call it soul power. When you're connected to your whole power or your soul power or your power, however you want to call it, you're powerful. But it is so easy to become disconnected from ourselves and to like stop that connection, that flow and alignment of your head, your heart, your body, your energy, your groundedness. It's when we distract ourselves with things that aren't even for us. One time I was listening to the shaman in Peru talk about drama and other people's drama. And he gave a very good way of dealing with it. And so he was explaining, he was seeing a couple fighting, in the street, arguing in the street. And it wasn't their normal habit. It was their regular routine to constantly be nitpicking and arguing with each other. And his way of dealing with it, and his suggestion or recommendation for us to start implementing this little practice was, that's not for me. That's not for me. And then just, recognizing, acknowledging that drama isn't for me. It's like you're telling yourself, I'm not engaging in that. I'm not judging them or whatever. It's just not for me. And I don't want to interfere with my alignment. And we can do that more and more often nowadays, especially if you find yourself, paying attention to disturbing news or upsetting information or things that you have no control over, except, in the long run, taking care of yourself. You have control over that. But when you're, faced with those outer situations, you can just tell yourself, that's not for me. That's not for me. And, that's a simple way of doing it. And how I really like to do it, and what has really helped me. So back when I was an accountant, tax season, robbed me of Easter vacation. We had to work every Good Friday, and then we took it off in a May or something like that. But it just wasn't the same because no one else had the day off as well at the same time. And so we gave up we give up, anyone who's in the accounting field right now is giving up a lot in order to do tax returns. So thank you, thank you, thank you to all the accountants out there. You're doing, work that is required and that we must all do according to the government. And, according to this old system and pattern system that is, cramming so much work within a very small period of time when it could be reorganized, it could be structured so that maybe it was alphabetical. You filed your name in a certain month, your tax return in a certain month. I'm not sure why the government hasn't figured that out yet, but I'll just put it out there. Why we do things in society to create harm on people, because it is harmful. It is abuse to create systems that make it hard for you to have connection with yourself, make you give up what you love in order to earn your salary or complete government imposed deadlines. It's kind of upside down backwards. Besides the point, if you find yourself in this type of a career where it's so demanding that you are finding that you're burning out, you're on autopilot, you just are doing all the motions to get through the day, to sleep and eat and get up at the next day, and you're finding yourself, you're gaining weight, you're drinking more than you want to, you're just going through the motions to get it done. If that is you, there is a way to start reconnecting even when you're stuck in that habit. And it's just to notice first, just notice that you're in that habit. That's the first key, is to notice that. Then you can decide to do some little moves first. Talk about it with somebody like me, bring it to, talk about it. But then also make small adjustments and creating space for yourself. So I've been doing a daily practice since I was 20 years old. Have I done it 7 days a week since I was 20 years old? No. But when you get consistent at doing something, you can become very good at it and you can shorten your time. So when I was 20 years old, I started doing a daily practice because I was going through anxiety even before I became an accountant. So when I did that when I was 20, I went really in deep. I, found that it was doing what I needed it to do to help me connect with myself, get clarity, become more confident, clear anxiety, clear feeling grief and suffering. So then when I was in accounting, I found myself, all of a sudden I'd let go of my routine to put my head down to do tax returns. And I'd be spiritually empty, no inspiration, no creativity, no joy or happiness filling me up. It would just be boredom and repeat returns. Even though, I like the clients and everything, it wears on you. It wears on you. And so what I would do was I would remember, and I would get up early and do 20 minutes, do 30 minutes at my altar, at my practice space, which I made beautiful. I do have it all beautiful. Like, it's a sacred space for me. And it is a contained environment where I sit and I connect with myself. And so I have different ways that I do that. And I have a way that I'm teaching other people how to get started as well and hold space for them, because it's not easy. It's not easy to start a practice on your own. It's actually extremely difficult because you can decide not to get up in the morning and do it. But when you do, miraculous things can happen and change in very short periods of time. And you can reconnect with yourself. You can reconnect with that part of yourself that is joyful, that is happy, that wants fulfillment. And when you reconnect, it creates space. It opens up some space inside of you for that joy and happiness and fulfillment and imagination and ideas to flood in. And it clears out that anxiety, that stress, that burnout, that overwhelm that is taking up the space, keeping out the joy, keeping out the inspiration, keeping out the creativity. And so if you just give yourself the chance by getting up a little bit earlier and taking some time to reconnect with yourself, miraculous things can happen. And so what I've become very good at is leading other people and holding the space for them that is a powerful, potent container so that they can access the results of making more space within quicker than if they were to do it by themselves. And so how I did this was I did 30, I've done the deep, long path of meditation, of practices, of, all the work that I've ever done in shamanism and mysticism and ancient training and practices. That has all added to me being able to hold space for other people to transform and to heal and to achieve the results they want, the happiness, the joy, and the fulfillment, the connection. And so because I can hold that space for you, you can easily drop in and reconnect. And the earth is one of the powerhouses that we connect to. And she has guided me to do this for people. And she is actually running the whole show. She is the one you're connecting to, and I'm guiding you through her wisdom back to your connection, back to your alignment with your heart, with your purpose, with your power, with your prosperity, with that innate wisdom that is inside of you that knows the way. And it brings you down, drops you down into your body instead of out and up out of your head, where all the stress and anxiety and burnout and autopilot are flying. And so it gives you a perspective of what's important. And it actually sets you up in a more powerful position to go into that busy, deadline-induced day that you have and be the eye in the storm, to be calm, to be more productive, to actually have more time. That's how powerful being connected to yourself is. And so I noticed this when I was back in tax seasons, that if I did my daily practice, even in this overwhelming, deadline-induced, stressed atmosphere and environment, I could manage way better. I could get way more work done. I was way more productive. And I was happier. And I wasn't working the same amount of overtime that I would have to if I didn't do it. So I just noticed that. And it was like, well, it's worth it for me to get up early and do this for myself. And I hope it's worth it for you to do that too. And so that's something you have to decide is like, in order to connect deeper with yourself and to grow more powerful in your purpose, in your work, and align with yourself and be connected to yourself, you have to make space and time for yourself. You have to want to have the space for happiness and joy and fulfillment to come in. And you have to want to let go of the stress and the anxiety and the autopilot. You first have to decide that. And so I decided that, and it brought me to leaving that career because it was just a lot of work to have to keep going into that stressful state to like tune myself up to go there, when I prefer to tune myself up into a really happy place constantly where I'm of service and where I'm in joy with my purpose. It was just accounting that was that stepping stone to get me to this place here now. And to create all the, it was one of the ways that I created the contrasts and learned about how to teach other people and to relate to what you're going through as well. And as entrepreneur now, I have to keep watch on myself. And I know that when I'm doing my practice, my entrepreneurship, my business is thriving. I'm excited and happy and joyful while I'm creating and while I'm serving. And it brings me more energy, more life force in my body. So I'd like to invite you to next Tuesday's Earth Day celebration. Because the earth is part of this practice that I teach, I've named it Earth Force Activation. And it's been guiding me to have an Earth Day event for multiple years, and I'm finally doing it this year. So it's on April 22nd, and it's streaming live, streamathon style, kind of like your old days telethon that you used to watch on TV. We're streaming live on my YouTube channel. And so all you have to do to come and to watch is to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the notify me button, and you'll get notified when we start. And you can come in and out, and you can be like, have it on in the background while you're working. But during the streamathon, I'm having live guests, stars, some hip hop artists, some sound bath, healing practitioners, some transformational coaches. Merlin's going to be there, and we're going to go all day, and we're going to bless the earth. We're going to do some shamanic blessings and healings, and we're going to do some practices, meditation practices to help you connect. And that connection is going to be an offering to the earth, because that's what she really wants from us. She wants our connection. When we're connected to ourselves, we can connect with others, and that includes connecting with the earth. And it just makes her so happy. And she just fills us up with life force because of it. So I'd love to see you there. I will put the links to subscribe to my YouTube channel in the comments on the streaming platform you're watching this on. So have an amazing day.